All right. Well, it's a good option. Let's keep looking. The only downside I think here is they're all the bedrooms except for four have little twin beds.
I'm finding a twin bed. Not like I'm going to need someone in there flopping around. I'm not going to take some back home country Kentucky floozy.
All
Maybe I will. That's not
right.
a rule
Let's
out.
do this episode and we can look more
Yeah, we all know you and Kyle
There's
are
a
later.
foosball
spoonies, so
table?
Nobody plays foosball.
yeah,
I
no.
wish there was a shuffleboard table.
Shuffleboard, yes.
Yeah, I think. Oh, there's a bathroom with two urinals in it.
Huh?
How fucking sweet is that? Sign me up. I would do that. I'd be fine with that. We can ask.
The urinals is what.
Urinals did it for me. If there's a bidet, we're staying there. Me and Kyle are definitely in on the bidet. I don't want to have a dirty butthole when I'm at Maker's Mark.
A podcast about bourbon and the ones who drink it. This is Bourbon Matters. Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Gold Eagle Jake.
And tonight we're talking about right-sizing whiskey.
What's that?
You know how like boomers downsized? You know, when they like retired and stuff, and then it changed from downsize to right size. And that's what people are doing with whiskey now.
What do you mean? Change their rights size?
I don't know. They stopped calling it downsizing. They started calling it right sizing.
Oh, so it
'Cause
didn't
I
hurt
don't
their
know.
feelings?
Probably.
God, people are way too. Yeah, so I had found an article that's talking about a shift that's starting to be noticed in the spirits industry. And that's people are choosing to buy smaller formats of alcohol. So getting away from your 750s and your 1.5 to 375s, 100 mils, bottles like that. Because it's not just for convenience, but for control, discovery, and value is kind of the main thing. So what the article really talks about is it goes through a lot of reasons of why we're seeing this. Mainly it's with everything else being expensive. If you're going to go out and hang out with a couple of friends, you don't need to spend the money on a full 750 milliliter bottle. If you get a 375 milliliter bottle, that should last you and a couple buddies for the night, especially when people aren't drinking as much anymore. They're not trying to get hammered. You just want to have a few drinks. For trying to get some of the different things at a smaller price point, at a less volume, so you can try it out to see if you like it and do want to buy the full fifth bottle of whiskey. They're calling these people light buyers. So they're starting to see a shift. Now, we've talked about some things we've seen before, be it Bardstown had a little sample kit with distillate and a couple like the Fusion and Discovery series, and Four Roses had the big kit with all 10 mash bills. A couple other ones you've seen, some smaller, yeah. That would Bacta's had smaller kits with different vintages. We're seeing some
Whistle Pig's got them.
So
Yeah,
we're seeing
all kinds of ones.
some more and more out there. We've just kind of touched on them before. What are your guys' thoughts and reactions to people not a small shift of people not wanting to buy full 750 milliliter bottles?
Well, I guess my first question
And Jake,
is,
what do you see in the store too? I guess
are these is this data from like overall sales on sizes of spirits, or is this people's opinions?
both.
Okay.
Well, the article's from Nielsen, which is like the they do the TV show ratings and stuff. So like they're like a big like data harvesting
Mhm.
firm. So I would say it's probably fairly well data driven.
Yeah, there's a lot of different data, and then there's also some questionnaires and things that they ask people as well too, such as why are people, when they're asking people why they're choosing smaller sizes, 47% is the highest, saying it's more affordable. 41% are also, I mean, this is not a pick one or the other, this is pick all that apply. 47% of people that say they're buying smaller sizes say it's because of more affordable. 41, they only need a small amount, they didn't need a full bottle. 41, smaller sizes better fit my occasion or how I consume. 33 wanted to try something new. 33 for travel, which we've had aged in ore and stuff. You can take
Yeah.
small bottles through airports. Gifts, things like that. Trying to drink less alcohol.
Gifts. Cheaping out on your friends by buying
Stocking
half bottles.
stuffers.
Yeah,
We sell a lot of minis, especially around the
yeah,
holidays for
yeah.
stocking
Yeah.
stuffers.
So that's the bigger reasons why people are saying that they're buying smaller sizes, but there is some sales data behind this as well too. Um, so
So, I mean, there's a lot of different moving parts here. I've always said that I'm a huge advocate and fan for these like tasting kits. Um, I think it's a great way for people to discover a brand, especially with how many brands and different whiskeys there are out there now, without having to commit to a full bottle. If especially if you want to discover it in your own home, because obviously the other argument is, well, you can just go to a bar and taste it and see if you like it first. I think for the average bar, it would still be cheaper to just commit to one of these tasting kits. And there is something to be said about sitting in the comfort of your home, having 3 or 4 proper pours from a brand and just being able to relax and take your time with those pours, especially if it's higher end stuff. Like we mentioned the Bacta set, we mentioned the Four Roses, like a little bit of an elevated tasting experience, and getting to try some expensive bottles in a very small format without committing to the entire bottle.
yeah, I think the first one I ever really bought, and it was pretty early on when I was getting into whiskey, was we've talked about it, mentioned it a few times. The Jefferson different finishes.
Yeah, the wood experiment.
Yeah, the wood
Yeah, it
experiment.
was really bad.
A lot of the whiskey was really bad, so I'm glad I didn't buy a ton of it. I like when I think of like what they did there, and you see so many distilleries coming out with different barrel finishes all the time. I think I would appreciate a distillery more if they did more things like that, got consumer feedback, and then started doing bigger releases of the ones that went over well.
Yeah, I
Because
totally agree.
I'm tired of the saturation of, all right, sorry, Jacob, just to say Heaven Hill for this example. Oh, we have a new finish in whatever type of barrel. And we're going to charge a super premium price for it. And no one has any idea if it's good or not. And you're going to get people like Jake R. that's going to, oh, this is going to be phenomenal. I got to buy this bottle at all costs. And it might really, really suck.
All right,
Instead
first
of,
off, Heaven Hill rarely finishes anything, so I don't
yeah,
have that
Parker
problem.
Heritage isn't anything at all. I like, and I'm not, it's like, I just threw them out there. Because, like, I think Heaven Hill could
No,
do a thing where they could have kind of the same thing of what Jefferson said 5 or 6 different 100 mil or 200 mil bottles in a pack of different wood finishes, QR codes on the bottles, give us your thoughts and feedback, and try a bunch. Because it's not like a lot of these take that long. Like, your normal barrel finish, and especially in a bigger distillery, you're probably looking at around 6 months, depending on the type of oak you're going into for the secondary finish. You could put them out one year and then the next year have the drop of, all right, these were our top finishes. Now you can go buy yourself a 750 of Misnura for
Well,
$200, whatever the fuck you want.
yeah. So here's a good example: the Hardin's Creek from Jim Beam.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hardin's Creek is Jim Beam's experimental line. Every year they come out with something a little bit different, and they're always like meant to be paired or drank together.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll use this year for an example because they came out with the same bourbon, aged the same amount of time, 11 years, but from different parts of the rick house. One of them was bottom floor, one of them middle, and then the other one top floor. And that's like obviously meant to be drank as a flight and compared side by side by side. The problem is those bottles retailed for $150 when they came out. And so you're asking people to drop 450, $500 with tax on 3 bottles of bourbon. And I just don't think that that is a reasonable ask.
Yeah.
Now, they also last year, or maybe this was 2 years ago, the Hardin's Creek that they came out with was the different
Rick
locations
House
in
fish.
Kentucky.
Yep.
Yeah, where they
Yeah.
have rick houses. And not only did they come out with the big bottles, I don't even know if you guys know this, but they did come out with a taster kit
Yeah, the three
later.
pack. It was in a really nice packaging and everything
Super nice
too.
packaging.
Yep.
It was like super limited. I think we got one of them. Um, and like, why would you not just roll that? Use the same packaging, the same many bottles into the latest release of the 3 whiskeys from the different floors. Like that would have been something where I think most people would have sought after because you can sit down and do a really, really fun hands-on tasting with yourself or a buddy or two, and compare those 3 whiskeys because they are meant to be drank together.
Mhm. Yeah, I would. When I read this, I thought about those. So I remember because it was about the Claremont, the Boston, and
Frankfurt.
the Frankfurt.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I remember they had it was what 375 mil, which it wasn't
No, I think
cheap.
they were 200.
Were they 200? They were
Yeah, I
really
think they
nice
were
bottles. Though.
200.
They were like
Mm-hmm.
decanter 200 milliliter bottles. Very nice packaging. Like I would like to see more stuff like that. Of because, like you said, if you're going to buy I think that was like 250 or 175 or
Yeah, they're like
250 was somewhere in that range
175. Yeah,
for
175.
the 3 bottles, which is
Mm-hmm.
what one of the 750s costs. And again,
Right.
like you said, if you're wanting people to drink through, I would have rather seen them thrown a majority of those out there, and then like the scenario I was talking about, get feedback from the consumers, see what people like, and let's say Frankfurt was the one that people liked the most, then do a big release of that the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, I love your idea about the QR code and collecting feedback. Like, nobody wants to do a dumb survey, but when it's about whiskey and what whiskey you like, and you're giving feedback back to the distillery, like you feel like you're hands on with this distillery, like everyone is going to scan that QR code and submit the feedback. Uh, can we get Whiskey Acres to do this with the different corns?
yeah, so that's their goal. Is they want to do they've done 3 packs for a long time, but it's mainly been their normal stuff. That's been in the talks for a while with the shift of getting away from. Again, last I had heard when I was there, it sounded like they were going to still make yellow corn bourbon mainly for on prem at bars and restaurants and things. But then, in terms of the retail side, the off prem, they wanted to go more just into specialty grains, and that's what they want to get to is 3 packs of 375 bottles of Oaxacan popcorn. It was going to be Bloody Butcher, but they've gone away from Bloody Butcher. So either Glass Gem or the hybrid they're working on. The problem is just they're at the point where they want everything to be 5 years old now, I believe, or really darn close to 5. So I think they're waiting until, and maybe we can get Pat on at some point again when they get closer to this. But I know that's their thing, is so that way you can taste through the corn, because that's their whole philosophy is different corns make different whiskeys. So I think that's something that's going to be coming from them. And when you're talking about the feedback, I think I think you would have, especially with today's consumer, I think you'd get a lot of respect from the consumer if you came out and said, "Hey, we're going to sell these sample kits. We want your feedback." if you make it super quick and super easy, and it's, again, maybe just scan a QR code, rank them 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your favorite to your least favorite. They get the data. They can say, here's what the people are liking the most. We're gonna focus on these for big releases at full bottles next year. Because people, I mean, we did the feedback at Whiskey Acres, and I took back when we did the last tasting that I did there. All the feedback we got, I came back, put into a spreadsheet, and presented to the owners, and it went into the changes that they were looking at. Now, the good news is we were already kind of on that same wavelength as everybody else, but it's nice to know that the consumers were agreeing with what we thought tasted best as well. But I think if you made it something super easy like that, I mean, how many people vote on CYPB when they go to Buffalo Trace?
I had no idea. I'm sure thousands and thousands.
I bet that's tens of thousands of people on that. And you don't have to, but people wanted to get to have their input heard. So, and it's, you go up to a kiosk and press a couple buttons.
So, yeah, I don't, or I do agree with everything you guys have said. However, what was the percentages on people that had like trying it first, or like
that was like third
discovery?
That was the lowest one.
Yeah,
I mean, not the lowest one. The lowest one I talked about for.
No, I get what you're talking about.
New before committing to a larger size, 33%.
Yeah.
So a third.
Yeah, so like I think the biggest issue is
the premium,
committing to cost and committing to the volume.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, this is one of those things that, you know, I don't know how many people actually realize, and Jake and I were kind of talking about this yesterday after the master class. But like, ounce for ounce, a 375 is almost always more expensive than a 750.
Yeah, that's because of packaging.
Right. Yeah.
That's part of it. Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people understand that. But that's the side that's the case with like anything, not just alcohol. But anytime you have two options and one package is smaller, the smaller one always costs more ounce per ounce or whatever measurement. But
but
I understand.
I don't think these people are looking, when they're talking about value, I don't think they're talking about value of, well, this is $1.50 an ounce for a 750, and this is $1 or $2 an ounce for a 375. At the end of the day, they're looking, okay, so it's $50 for a 750 or $30 for a 375. I'd rather pay the $30 because like $30 is less.
I think right. I mean, totally. Like that's the driver, right? Like it's right. The end cost is lower. And like I get it. I get. Yeah,
sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say that person is in their head thinking, I just saved $20.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Because I tried this and I didn't love it, and I don't want a 750.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I understand the logic, and like I don't necessarily have a problem with anything, that any of the rationales, that Dan listed off. But it's just like, I don't know. To me, there's like, I don't know what the root cause is that's driving this shift. Like,
well,
so quickly, I guess.
I think the two things that are playing into it are less consumption, and everything's getting crazy expensive, and no one wants to spend full price on anything anymore. So if you're not drinking as much, why would you spend the money on a bottle that might sit half full for 2 years when you can drink it on a weekend with some friends at whatever, and save that $20 up for something else? I think it's those two things that come together that is what's starting to make the shift. I don't like the 100 milliliters. I think is a little tougher to look at. When you're talking at things of like outside of Fireball and shit.
Yeah. Well, that was the
There's
other point.
big
That,
sample packs. If there's a bunch in a sample pack, I'm fine with 100 mils. But
yeah, so like the other thing that really stood out to me is discovery was like one of the things that people listed as a reason for going for smaller options. But like if you're using 375 or smaller bottles for discovery, I feel like you're limiting yourself to like 1% of the market
Yeah,
that
I was just
offers
gonna
any of those
like touch
sizes.
on that.
Like
it
it's
they
counterintuitive to me because like you're actually restricting yourself unbelievably by only committing to smaller size bottles.
they don't talk in this article of what percentage this is. It's just that they're seeing an uptake in this. They don't have the exact percentages. But
So
let's say it's gone. Let's say it's gone from 1% in a year to 1.5% in a year. Okay, that's a trend you might want to start looking into to see what's going to happen with it.
Well, I'm just talking purely about the number of distilleries that even offer a smaller size
Oh yeah, yeah.
of anything, and
yeah,
like usually like like let's take like Heaven Hill for example, like to keep the trend going, like they have minis of like Elijah Craig and Evan Williams, maybe like one or two more, but like most of their portfolio is not available in a 375 or smaller bottle. Like you got to buy a 750. Like, I mean, that's even the case with like Jim Beam. Like, there's Jim Beam white label minis, but like they don't have the whole Beam line in minis.
they have quite
So
a
like, what
bit.
you're only?
Not everything, but
I mean,
they
there might be like what Devil's Cut and like
black.
yeah,
I
black.
don't think they have like any of the other ones. I mean, obviously they do have their
Knob Creek.
flavors. Knob Creek has
But
different sizes.
yeah,
Well,
I mean, to me, it's just like I don't know, you're not actually allowing
so
yourself to discover. You'd be better
yeah.
off going to a bar and tasting new stuff.
So just to build on your point, there was this guy in the store 2 weeks ago who said he was really trying to get into bourbon, tried a couple things for the first time, liked it, and wanted to see what else was out there, and was asking specifically for smaller bottles. And like, how do I politely say to him, well, yes, like we do have small bottles, but it really is all your basic stuff, like makers, the stuff that you would expect a place to have in smaller bottles, like all the cool stuff, all the one-off single barrels, higher end stuff. Most of it just isn't offered in small bottles. It's 750 or bust. And the real way
the
to
stuff that'll
really
get you actually excited about
yeah, right.
something.
Exactly. Like you're gonna go home with all these basic bottles and be like, you know, bourbon isn't as cool as I thought, maybe, or maybe you will enjoy it. But so that is why I love how like we've started to see some elevated options in the 50 mLs, in the 200 ml taster packs. Um, the downside about the taster packs is for whatever reason, well, I think I know the reason, but a lot of times like they don't sell and we get stuck having to break them up and then sell everything individually, because we get a lot of kits like that around the holidays, and then some of it just sits there, and then once January hits we have to break them all apart and enter all the inventory individually. And I think that is because the when the bigger distilleries do that with their basic lineup, people like us and people like our listeners are like, oh, I don't like this one, so I'm not going to buy the kit.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that one, I don't love it, I'm not going to buy the sample kit and get stuck with that little bottle.
I think so. Yeah, I think if Heaven Hill's taking like an Evan Williams, an Elijah Craig, and maybe a rye, Elijah Craig rye, whatever, throwing it in there. People that don't like rye are going to be like, I'm not going to buy that because I'm not going to drink the rye. I would like to see it more of like, if they're going to have something like that, be it toasted, be it normal, be it toasted, and be it barrel proof. A kit like that, I think, would be more likely for someone that's
Or
into
even
bourbon.
like McKenna 10,
Yeah,
Pikesville, and like, you know, like some of the SKUs that are not as,
yeah, not the
you
not the
know,
main line.
Mhm.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, Bacta came out with a little 4 pack, and it was $100 for the 4 pack of 450 mLs. But they called it like their most awarded spirit pack, and inside you got the 50 mLs are all bottles that sell for two of them sold for $150 for a 750. Two of the other ones sold for 300 or 400 as a 750. So I think that's super cool as a consumer. Instead of spending $1,000 on what those 750s would have costed, for $100 you can try their most awarded spirits and see which one you like. If you would want to upgrade to a 750 milliliter bottle, Heaven Hill could totally do that, but they won't. The big distilleries won't, because then they're getting the consumer to spend money on half the amount of liquid that they would have spent if they would have just bought the full bottle.
yeah. I think, and that's one thing I've thought of too, because like one of my things I really enjoyed before I got into the whiskey industry for a bit was when I went to Rush Creek. They had a lot of their more expensive stuff in 375 mils. And I was, as a consumer, I was very happy about that because I'm like, you know what? I haven't tried a lot of these. I'd rather just spend $40 on the 375 instead of 70 some bucks on the 750 just in case I don't like it. As a consumer, it made me, I was happy with that. After working at a distillery, the last thing you want to do is look at and say like, well, why would I sell them that when I'd rather just get more? I make more money on the 750 than I do on the 375. I'd rather sell more alcohol. But if this change is starting, if this change keeps increasing, there's going to be a point where you're going to have lost sales if you didn't have a 375 out there.
Correct.
I don't know where that point is. Let's say, it's got to be a significant amount. If we're talking 5% of the people didn't buy something because they would rather have a 375, no one's going to care about that because the amount of money that they didn't lose by selling less alcohol at a 375 is greater. But if it gets to a point where it's 10 or 15% of people, 15% of people are saying, hey, if you would have had a 375, I would have bought it, but you didn't, so I'm not going to buy anything. At that point, it starts to become something you need to really start paying attention to.
So here's the thing that gets me about that is like, you've the 750 and you have a 375.
Mm-hmm.
If you're opting for the 375 just to take home for yourself, like, whiskey doesn't have a shelf life. So like, I don't understand the concern about like all else like out the window, like, assuming that you're not concerned about price point, or you're not concerned about
Whether you
anything
like it or
else.
not.
Yeah, I guess that's the only selling point of a 375, right? Is like, well, if I hate it, then I'm not stuck with the other 375 milliliters.
So I think one thing you got to think about a little bit, Jake, um, we're probably not the average consumer.
Well, right.
We're more on
Yeah.
the high side. Think of what your average consumer is. How many half drinking bottles of some type of alcohol are shoved beneath your sink that have not been touched in 2 years?
My sink?
No.
No. The average
That's going to be your average consumer,
bourbon
right?
person.
Your average person's not going to have a place like you where they have an upstairs podcast room, a downstairs bar, and a upstairs closet that they can shove boxes of whiskey in. They have limited space. It goes below the kitchen sink, and this bottle's been sitting there, and it's been in the way for 2 years. They don't want it anymore.
I mean, I guess. But like, I don't know.
I
I feel like if
mean,
you bought something like, I mean, because like we're not talking about just buying a bottle of like old granddad, right? Like we're talking about like you want to spend money on something that is like piquing your interest, right? Like I think that's the reason why you'd gravitate toward a 375 is like, oh, here's a half bottle of like Elijah Craig barrel proof. Like that seems interesting. Like, but like, I don't know. To me, like, I don't understand what the proposition is if you're already at the point of like, yes, I'm going to buy this,
all right. So Jake,
unless it's cost driven. Like I
when
understand the cost point. Like I don't want to spend $80 on Elijah Craig barrel proof, but I'm willing to spend 45 or 50. But like
yeah,
if I don't care about the price point and I'm more worried about whether I'm going to like it or not, like I don't know. To me, like I don't understand why you'd opt for this
well, you're
375
gonna go
if
try
there's
it
no
at a
other.
bar.
That's what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, so let me ask you, somebody who has a lot of bottles, somebody who's really into bourbon, is there ever a time where you would want a 375?
If it was the only way I could get something.
So no matter what it is, if you've never had it, if both options are available, you're always going to opt for the 750. Even if you're weary about if you're going to like it or not, because you'll just dump it down your drain and who cares if you don't like it.
True story. True story.
Yeah.
Lots of bottles down a drain.
All right, look.
If you're part of the Lake County Whiskey
one
Club-
would have cried over the bottles that I poured down the drain. Okay?
What about people that can't afford the bottles that like whiskey?
I don't know what to tell you.
So for
Part of the
me,
Lake County.
It was like Jefferson Ocean and like shit like that. Like no one
People
cares.
like Jefferson Ocean.
yeah, it's a good bottle to some people.
Yeah, it's a real good bottle for
Yeah.
Some people.
If there's only a club on Facebook that you could post into and see if somebody rented it before you dumped it down the drain.
Ain't nobody got
Somewhere
time for
around
that.
Lake
Well,
County
let's
that
not
might
piss
be
people
local.
off too much. That was a while ago.
It was like 2 years ago.
I still love to make fun of you for that.
Well, I mean, so like I think the only like extenuating circumstance, or I would pick a 375, is if it was like either like super expensive for a full size bottle, or it was like so strange and foreign and experimental that I would be like, I don't know if this is really going to be up my alley or not.
See, I'm 100% opposite of you. I would almost prefer to buy the way my whiskey consuming habits right now. I would prefer everything to be in 375s. Because
Why? You drink a lot.
I drink a pour every night. Some weekends usually a couple, but I'll have a pour every night. But like, I like to get stuff cleared off my shelf and get to the next bottle. And that's just because I like to drink different whiskeys. I would 100% rather have a 370 shelf full of 375s than 750s, unless it's something that I know I really, really, really like.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I don't like having 375s at home. I just feel like it's like gone too quick. And the only time I'm looking for a 375 is if I am traveling and want to take a bottle with me. And I know I'm only going to need 375 and it just fits in the luggage better. But I also understand that I have a different circumstance than most people because I get reps in all the time and I get to try a lot of different things and have access to our bar that has over 200 whiskeys open. So it would never be for me that, oh, I just want to try something. Like if I'm at a distillery that doesn't distribute to us and there's something new, I'm always going to just commit to the full bottle, mostly also because I will bring it and share it with different people.
See, I am jealous of what, like, if you had a collection, you would have the collection that I want, and that's a whole bunch of 100 ml bottles with blue painter's tape on it and Sharpie.
I
Like,
have a
that's the
lot of
type of
that.
collection. That's the type of collection I would rather have. Like
I
that.
just got a
That's what I
bag
wish
full of them today.
I know. Like that's like if you're in the industry. So if you're in the store side, if you're in the distillery side, 100 ml bottle with blue painter's tape and the Sharpie marker. If it's coming out of if it came out of Whiskey Acres when I was there, or if it was someone sending us stuff, I got super excited. That's the stuff I wanted to drink. Is bottle, blue painter's tape, Sharpie written on it, what it is. You can barely read what it is. Kind of like what I wrote. Yeah, kind of like what's on Jake's desk there of the samples I dropped him off. Like, yeah,
Nice.
stuff like that's what I like. But in the industry, it's normally blue painter's tape. I would rather have that just because I like to try a lot of different things. And 100 mils is going to get me through what my nightly pour.
But you're not going to go out and buy that.
If it's something I really like, I would definitely buy the 750 of it.
No, I'm talking about like
you
you're
can't
not going to
No,
buy
you can't buy
100
it. No.
You're not going to
No.
buy like 70
I
100
just-
ml bottles and put them on your shelf and be like,
No,
I'm so
but
glad
these
I
aren't
bought
ones
these.
you're
Like,
gonna. The reason me and Jake like these is you're not gonna find these in stores because they're
no, but
test
yes, right.
They're
but, like,
they're cool to
that's
try.
different.
It's one off, and it's usually like straight from the barrel stuff, experimental stuff. But yeah, when I moved, I had so many of those little bottles that were just handwritten what they were. I had to say, all right, I'm not drinking out of a 750 for the next like 2 months because I need to wind some of these down.
yeah.
But I mean,
It's
like,
just a common thing in the industry.
I would
Yeah,
love if a distillery just did a pack like that. Like, give me that sample pack of like just random things you're working on. I don't need fancy packaging. Just give me a bunch of random things you're working on. I'll decide if I like it. And again, if they had a type of feedback that we could give them of saying, "Hey, I would spend the money on this in the 750 mil." Like that's.
I
what
don't think
like.
that's going to fly with the TTB, but I do think they can definitely do something with your idea of a QR code and some kind of like, hey, this is super behind the scenes stuff we're experimenting with. Fill out this quick survey. People would jump all over that.
Make it where you pay to be on a subscription service, kind of similar to Blind Barrels. Have it be like a subscription service you have with a distillery. They'll a couple times a year they're going to ship you random shit. I would do that in a heartbeat, and I'd pay a premium.
yeah.
I'm just kind of looking through. I was trying to think of ideas of like what some distilleries could do, and trying to create some ideas other than what we've talked about. And I was just looking through the 2026 San Fran Spirits competition, and something like this. If Starlight Distillery out of Indiana, they had 4 products get double gold. If they came out with a little kit of 375 milliliters of 200 of Starlight Amberana Cigar Batch Bourbon, Starlight Honey Reserve Bourbon, Starlight Mizurana Reserve Bourbon. Give me a San Fran double gold taste kit or a San Fran medal winning tasting kit out of some of these places, especially like Starlight's, they're still probably considered mid-size. Like your mid-size, your smaller size, give me something like that, hey, all these did something like this, or all these won an award, or whatever.
Well, I mean, somebody like them, like, give us all the different, like, fruit finishes, that they do.
Yeah,
like,
they could do so much, and they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're going to be sitting on stuff. And I think if you did something like that, you will move. You could. Again, I don't have data, and I hate making statements without data. But
I would just say it.
I would feel that you could move a lot of stuff because, there's Starlight's not out here in Utah, but I was at a very large liquor chain in the Chicagoland area that we don't talk about.
We're not a chain.
And and they had about 20 some different Starlight bottles, and half of them were on the closeout rack because they're trying to get rid of them and trying to move them. It's like I feel
so
if you
like,
gave me
yeah.
a 200 mils of each of a bunch of them, I would rather do that than, because now when you see them on close, or like when you see them on like closeout or something like that, normally it's not because they're selling so quick and they're just letting you know it's, hey, we want to get these moved.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I
like,
think,
they're like a particular case, right? Where like they do like crazy amount of different finishes and stuff. They have a ton of SKUs just like in general. Um and like for sure, like there's some like buyer wariness just from like the sheer volume of like
yeah,
available products from them. Um and like if you're somebody like me who's not like huge into like super sweet like whiskey or something, like the blueberry finished bourbon is not like your thing that you're gonna be like, yeah, I'll commit to a 750. Because like maybe like that's like a dessert pour, but it's like one, you know. um so maybe Jake, that's the instance where I would pick a 750 or a 375 over a 750.
Yeah, I mean, it's once you also get burned by one of them, then you're super hesitant on pulling the trigger on any of them.
Yeah.
And they do have some releases that are iffy, but they do have quite a bit that are pretty good. Um, and yeah, I love the idea of doing like the double gold sampler kit. Like, who wouldn't want to try all their double gold winners from San
Yeah.
Francisco? Like, that's just a cool thing. Like, I look forward to that stuff. If I have nothing going on and I'm feeling like having some drinks, like I love nothing more than sitting down with like a little flight of three different whiskeys to compare and then seeing where your night takes you after that. But doing a little kit like that, I think it would be a lot of work, and that would be probably their biggest hesitation is how much work it would be to design the packaging and bottle all these small format bottles, because I'm sure their bottling line isn't set up for that. But I think it would totally be worth it. This is a brand that flooded the market and is struggling right now, and pull consumers back with some new popular releases. Not everyone will do this, but I think a lot of people that buy that taster kit will end up going and buying one of those 750s.
Well, that's like the whole point of the sampler kit, right? Is to convert somebody into
Yeah.
buying a full size bottle.
I
Like,
mean, not only are you converting another sale, you're they're probably going to take pictures of their little flight. They're going to, maybe invite a friend over and share the little sampler kit. Like, there's just really the only downside is the work that the distillery has to put in. And guess what? There's a lot of distilleries out there. There's a lot of whiskeys out there. Like, people are going to have to start doing this stuff.
yeah, like for like, not to just like keep hammering on Starlight, but like they're like a prime example for like where this really works. Like if they committed to a kit, even like a seasonal kit, and made it like a permanent SKU that they release like 2 or
Quarterly
3 times a year or 4 times a year
I would
with
probably keep it
different.
at two at most. I think if you start doing
Yeah, sure.
three
Then
to
two.
four, you're going to start getting fatigue.
Well, I mean, like
You want to
they
make
always
it
like
so
always on the shelf you have a tasting kit from Starlight, and like maybe half the year it's like here's 4 fruit finishes, and then the second half of the year it's their San Francisco winners or whatever. Like or some other like rotating thing, but like then you have the justification to invest in the equipment you need to do the mini bottles and to do all the stuff that you're talking about, Jake. Like, and then you convert sales with those kits.
well. And to be fair on the distillery side, like we're putting pie in the sky best case scenario out there. They're always go. You would be dumb as a distillery not to put your highest profit margin product in there, and that's going to be your normal label. So you're always going to have that in there. But you need to move some of that, and that gives you a reason to buy.
See,
I
I
just noticed you got the
disagree
250
there.
What
whiskey.
I think yes, in a traditional tasting kit, you're right. But if your business model is basically just like let's do a bunch of crazy experiments, I don't think you need your like
I don't
standard
think you
SKU
do
in
either,
there.
especially because you're like advertising. Like Starlight wants to be in the bourbon clubs. They want to be at people's homes, like us and our listeners. Like they are not really. Yeah, they do have an everyday bourbon that's for the everyday person, but they want to be geared more towards the whiskey nerds. Like that is their whole thing that they're trying to build. So I
Like
think,
they're not like a restaurant or bar whiskey. They're a like straight to
yeah, I
consumer.
mean, totally. I think they're hurting themselves if they were to do that. And this goes back to what I said earlier, where I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want this kit because I've tried this, like, their standard bourbon, and I'm just not a fan of that." And so they don't buy the kit because of that.
Or it's that like I've already tasted Jim Beam White Label. Why do I want to buy a kit with it in it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do I like? I'm not going to pay for the one that obviously I've had before, you know?
Yeah, I think those days
Like,
are, maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, absolutely.
like, I mean, I did like the Bardstown one was kind of neat because it
Had the
remind me
distillate.
again what's in there. Yeah, it was
That was super
Distillate,
neat.
Fusion Discovery.
and then it was like basically like almost like a light whiskey,
And it
slightly
was,
aged or something.
It was
yeah,
slightly
it was
aged, and then the
their
raw
like
distillate.
3-year-old
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
before
is
they
like
had
that
their
was
own
like a
whiskey
super
out.
cool idea.
Bardstown
Like
would be another good one that would have enough random as a bigger distillery to have enough random SKUs. I think
I don't know how like because a lot of that's other people's stuff. So like
no,
I
but I
think
mean they
their
do
own
enough.
SKUs, unless they
They,
do the like all the different like finished things,
yeah,
they could do a pack of those. But like
and like if you were going to commit of even like just trying some barrel finishes and not putting it out in 750s and just throwing them in a 200, 100, 200, 375, whatever. I would be fine with that if there's no big release of this and just this is only available in the 375 packs. Like, go ahead. I would be fine. So,
you know who could absolutely print money with a sampler kit? Buffalo Trace if they did the whole Weller line.
they already print money though. So,
Shh.
I know, but can you
There's
imagine
a
if
cut.
they made just like a
they already do, but
shit
they
ton?
could.
No, like I mean, if they
They
made
could
a
print
shit
more.
ton of sample kits of the entire Weller lineup, they could make so much money it would be ridiculous.
They won't do that until Weller starts sitting.
No, then they'll come out with Weller Purple.
They'll just keep cutting the SKUs.
That's true. I don't think you're going to see, and I should clarify this too. I don't think, like we've mentioned, a lot of mainly bigger distilleries. The Starlight, I think, is a perfect example. I think it's going to be a lot of your small to mid-sized distilleries should really start looking into this if you're stagnant or on a downswing. I think this is a way to infuse
craft distilleries. It makes a ton of sense.
We did.
Here's our entire portfolio.
Yeah,
Try it.
It was a pain in the ass, but the 1 year I was there, I actually had the idea of a holiday 3-pack. They used to do a ton of 3-packs. They hadn't done any in a while. We did a holiday 3-pack of 375s of the straight bourbon, the maple syrup cask finish, and then a 375 milliliter bottle of the maple syrup. Those are a pain in the ass, but those all went pretty quick for the holiday season. But it's maybe, I mean, I think, that was before we started doing before they started doing 750 mils of the maple syrup cask finish when it was still all 375s. So you had to buy a 375 of that. This was, hey, I can get this as a Christmas gift of this. It gets the syrup, and maybe they don't like the straight bourbon. You can use it as a mixer, but it's in the pack, but you're going to get this. And a lot of people did that. I remember that. So,
I mean, getting stuff like that into stores as a craft distillery, I think it would be like,
that'd be impossible since one of them wasn't a liquor product.
well, I'm not saying like then don't put maple syrup in it, put the rye or something.
I mean, there's been
it's just a pain in the ass for tax reasons.
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Craig, comes out with the gift sets where they include the old fashioned mix.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. But
like, I mean, because like, a lot often I hear people that are like, oh, I don't like, insert any craft distillery or local distillery. It's like, well, when's the last time you tried it? And it's like, well, I'm not going to go buy a bottle, So it's like, oh, just, if you had a sampler pack out there, it's a good excuse for somebody to give your whiskey another try.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them haven't had it in 5 or 6 years.
I don't know. Again, like we can kind of wind down here a little bit, but like, this isn't
I'm
like
just
it's a
winding
massive...
up. Let's go.
It's not like it's a massive trend. It's starting to make waves. I am 100% behind this, though. Jake R., I know you're kind of, with your consuming habits and your purchasing habits, you're different than where I am, but I would rather have a bunch of different 375s just with the way I drink. And maybe if you're a collector out there, would you be in the same boat of, rather than having a bunch of half or quarter drank and 750s on a shelf, would you rather start seeing some more 375s on your shelf so you can drink through them and enjoy them and then decide if you want to go back and buy a 750 or not?
And also, how do we feel about the kits, like the tasting kits?
We've touched on those before. I'm all for those. Like, I've always been on that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I meant more like our listeners, like give us feedback. Like, I want to hear consumers on what they think because, again, like I said earlier, like some of them just don't sell, but some of them are super sought after. Like the Four Roses, the Bacta ones sold, I think, very well for how expensive they were. So what are we feeling on the taster kits? Like, do we need to remove the basic straight bourbon out of there and just do more experimental things?
Get rid of your generic SKUs. Give us something a little upscale, a little more upscale.
I think it always makes sense to leave your most, or like your flagship standard product out of tasting kits. Like, it's totally safe to assume that everyone has tried your flagship.
Yeah. But again, that's where their most money comes in.
Yeah, I think keep those.
No, I know, but like if I'm like try their cool shit and then go back and be like, oh, I'll pick up a bottle of their standard, because I like all their cool stuff.
Keep those for distillery only sales because people that come visit the distillery want to bring home the flagship. They want to bring home the core. Not us, Dan. I'm talking about 90.
No, that's based off of sales when I was at Whiskey Acres.
Oh, well, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people that go visit distilleries.
When people go to a distillery, they want the rare.
Well, bourbon people, but a lot of people go to a distillery who aren't really like big bourbon drinkers and just like, oh, that's cool to say I went to a distillery. And then most of the time, they don't want to spend the extra premium on something fancy and rare. They just want something to remember, like, oh yeah, I went to this distillery.
Or like even getting something fancy and rare isn't guaranteed. A lot of people are just happy getting the standard one, being like, oh yeah, that's the one I got from
I went there.
Distillery.
I can see Pat Brophy just listening in his car with both arms crossed, just shaking his head like these guys are all fucking wrong. Dan's right.
No.
Well, all right. If you have a specialty SKU out on the shelf at the distillery at all times, somebody's going to go to whiskey.
I know, but people go to Whiskey Acres, right? But they go there because you guys release cool specialty stuff at the distillery. Like the average person who's visiting their kid at Northern Illinois that doesn't drink bourbon goes
wanders
there
in there on like
because
a Thursday night for
because it's like, oh,
shits and
there's
giggles.
something to do. Let's go to see a distillery. There's music. They're not looking for the fancy one-off thing.
After slamming a couple bourbon and blues, they're like, you know what? That straight bourbon looks pretty good.
With as hot as it's been here, I could really go for some bourbon slush, actually. All right, well, let us know your thoughts and feedback. If you want to go see and try some different things, you can try at the bar at Gold Eagle or do some sample packs. Please, I'll let Jake plug his store, but I just want to say, please go to his store so that someday he can afford a $15 ring light for his computer so he can see him when the sun goes down.
No, it means
He needs sales
I
for
got
that
two.
to happen, though.
I got two ring lights. When the sun goes down, it means it's time to wrap up. Jake's got to go get dinner and get on with his night.
Please buy things from Gold Eagle so Jake can afford a $15 ring light. Or if he has two, so he can at least afford. That's not a ring light. That's a normal lamp.
It's a normal little lamp.
incandescent.
But I didn't turn any of my lights on in here because we were recording when it was super bright out. And then now the sun is setting.
You know that any sporting event, if the lights are going to be on at night and it starts during the day, they have to have the lights on during the day, so the light is on.
Well, they automatically go on, and mine don't.
Jake needs money for electricity and a ring light, so please shop at Gold Eagle. Jake, where can people spend their money so you can afford these things?
All right, I'm not going to argue with please shop at Gold Eagle. Come visit us in Libertyville, 255 Peterson Road. Follow us on Instagram at Gold Eagle Wine. Follow us on Facebook at Gold Eagle Spirits. You can shop online for pickup. We hold orders forever. Or if you're a little bit far away, we do ship, and we do free shipping on $500 or more. So build up that cart. There's plenty of things that can get you to that $500 mark.
And if you get to that $500 mark.
Oh, well, that was one episode they're going to have to go back and listen to.
All right,
because it also doesn't combine with the free shipping.
Oh, free shipping. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, Jake can't do that so he can afford that ring light.
There's actually like more people than I thought that use that coupon, which is totally fine. Like, it's great to see that we've got all these listeners that are converting to buyers. But yeah, I think if you want to drop the episode in the comments or in the link,
Jake
Kyle,
can plug
or
it when he plugs us.
Yeah, whatever. Can plug that episode and people can go back.
You want me to look it up? I don't even.
No,
Kyle can include it somehow.
That would require you doing work, Jake. You can just say you can find this episode if you scroll back through our previous podcast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
look on, and then name all the platforms. So I've done your plug.
If you want to listen to the episode where Jake gives a 15% off coupon on $500, I think it was, you can scroll through our 200 plus episodes and find it on Apple, Google, Spotify, or any other podcast platform, or you can watch the video of us on YouTube and Spotify.
So you got to make them work for it a little bit. Can't just do all these gimmies.
Yeah. But we'll give you the best coupon code in the history of coupon codes for free. It's BMCOG.
All right,
guys.
Well, that was an interesting conversation. I hope you guys listened to it well. Other than that, cheers, guys.
Cheers.